Alright guys, today we're just going to go through basic maintenance and care for this guy, my Lcr22. And I know you guys are going to ask in the comments because nobody actually goes through. This is a Hogue green laser grip. That is shoe goo, just used to build up on the button and make it more difficult to press on accident, but easier to press on purpose with an appropriate grip, the one that I have here. Only other change on this gun is I paint the front sight testers blaze orange. I'm wearing gloves because these guns get really dirty, and well, I just don't need to go scrub that off my hands after this. So to clean these guns, to maintain these guns, really you only need these two tools. You'll notice that there is no lubrication, so there's no oil here, and there is not any like cleaning solvent. That is because I don't use those things on these guns. Solvent, not a fan of using that on most guns because all it's doing is making your room stink, your hands stink, ruining your clothes. And generally what it's doing is the carbon and crap that it takes and picks up, it just liquefies it and then moves it to areas that you often don't want it. So in revolvers, we really don't want to get stuff inside of the action there. And getting this wet and carrying all of the crud into there, well, that's something that'll happen if you use solvent and you do it the wrong way. I haven't found that I need solvent, so I just don't use it. There we go. All right, so got an unloaded gun, and we can see, you can see we've got a little bit of buildup, like a little wax ring inside of each one of those chambers. I say wax ring, some of that is wax for, you know, for 22. On center fire, some of that is, well, some of that is actual carbon buildup. It's probably both here. While I'm scrubbing this, take a second to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notifications button, and remember to go on to demonstratedconcepts.com for some free PDFs of targets and to see all of our course offerings. Just dry brush. I don't use a nylon brush, guys. I like to use actual wire, like brass bristle brush there. It gets it out. You can see it is not spotless in there, and that's okay. I knocked out the majority of the crud. There's a little bit of buildup in that chamber. I clean these guns about every time that I go to the range, and within a 22, I recommend doing so. Honestly, just with revolvers, if you get high round count on these guns at any range session, I recommend cleaning. Here's the reason why. These guns will often fail if they are too dirty, right? Like semi-autos hiccup, they don't feed right, and you can end up with like a bolt action pistol if you don't clean, if you let carbon build up, if you let it dry out. Revolvers though, really typical problem is you're gonna feel that trigger get heavier and heavier until, you know, on these guns, it'll feel like a 20-pound trigger. Actually, I've shot these guns, and this one is being cleaned right now as a, well, because I noticed stacking on the trigger. But I've shot these to the point where I can't press the trigger. The trigger gets so heavy, I'll break the mechanism inside before I'll rotate the cylinder. Why is that happening? Well, that happens in a very specific spot. So I clean the chambers first just because it's the first thing I see and whatever. That's not really an area where problems happen though. Here's the area where problems happen. I've got to clean that star. So you can see there's dirt there. Just brushing it off, that's much better already. See on this inside lip there, that's where the rims are gonna sit. And if carbon builds up there, it'll push the rims out of the cylinder further. It'll make them protrude out of the cylinder further. And that'll add weight to the trigger because the rims protruding right there are going to, right? They're going to rub against the plate back here, cause friction. That's not good. And here's the other spot. So on top of the star, underneath of the star, on the actual cylinder, and then here's the really big one, guys, the ones that kills these guns. Can you see all the crud? I'll have to move around and get some better light. Underneath that star, see all the crud there? That is what kills these guns. That buildup makes that ejector star stick out just a little bit, which really binds the action when you're in here, making that trigger impossibly heavy. So the way we clean it, I just take a nice beat up brush, and I'm cleaning both sides here simultaneously. You can see my paper is catching a lot of gunk. You can see my muzzle is down while I'm doing this because I don't want that gunk to go into the action, right? Now let's take a look, see how much cleaner that is. Still got a little bit of buildup right there. So I'll get it out. Now, I also said I don't use any lube on these guns. I've seen people oil these parts. My question to you is, why do you do that if there is no discernible change in the trigger press and there's nothing smoother about it? Why? I can answer why I don't do that. So if you read the owner's manual for these guns, there's only one spot that Ruger recommends oiling. That is like every several thousand rounds or something. You can take the grip off, you can pull the hammer pin partially out, not all the way out, otherwise you'll just have to take the entire gun down and put it back together, a giant pain in the ass. But you take that pin partially out, and on this side you add a drop of oil, and then you reinsert the pin, and it lubricates the hammer pin. That's it, and it's supposed to make the trigger press just a little bit lighter. Every so often. Now, I don't even do that. I found that I've done it on one gun and compared it to guns I haven't done it on with, you know, tens of thousands of trigger presses on these each. I cannot tell the difference, but I know that every time I put a drop of oil inside of the inner workings of the action here that does not ever get opened up or cleaned, I'm adding schmoo to a Swiss watch, and that will eventually bite me in the ass someday. So if you don't need it, don't do it. All right, so what I have done is I have cleaned the chambers, I've cleaned on top of the star, I've cleaned underneath the star on both sides. Sorry guys, I'm having a hard time getting you the good light here. You can see that is all clean now. And you can see under the star is mostly clean. I've got a little bit of stuff to get out of there. Guys, I'm not going for spotless here. I'm not one of those guys. I'm going for functionally clean. So I've got all the chunks of carbon removed. You can see just a little bit of buildup right there. Now that's gone. A little bit of buildup right there. Cool. Mostly clean. That star. These little edges right there are always kind of a pain in the butt. But I want to get those clean of all of the carbon buildup. Muzzle down, letting that junk fall on my table here. And guys, I know this doesn't look perfect, but that is actually plenty clean there. I'll get several hundred rounds more out of this guy before I have to worry about any buildup binding the trigger or slowing this gun down. Right, there it is. Now I know just scrubbing all that just put more stuff in the chambers. I'll go through and I'll punch those again. The other thing I will look at is the plate here. See how there's carbon buildup all through there? So I'll take a brush and I'll hit that, but I'll do so that that is falling away, not into the action. It's falling down to the table. Better. Got to get this top part up here. A firing pin, but I'm not trying to drive shmoo in there, so I'm using gravity to take that away. You can see a lot of crud coming out of there. Get you focused here. And there's still some buildup up at the top here. Guys, I'm not super worried about it. I guess I'm cleaning this extra super good because you guys are with me and watching right now. But there we go. All right, now I've got the forcing cone and a whole bunch of carbon around it. The carbon around it, I don't care about. Focus. The edge of that forcing cone, I do care about that and the buildup there. I care about it because it will rub against the front of the cylinder here, which I will also clean. If you shoot these a lot and you're shooting crappy ammo, you'll also see a little bit of lead buildup on the front of this. So I'll clean the front of this. Doing my best to keep this in frame for you guys. A little bit better there. And then I'm going to punch the barrel with that 22 brush. I know a lot of you guys say only punch these barrels one way and then just unscrew the brush and do it. That's fine, you guys do you. This gun has a lot of rounds on it and quite a few cleanings, and I'm not really seeing anything, but you can see quite a bit of fouling was in that barrel, and we can actually see rifling is more or less clean, not any crazy buildup there. All right. Now, I will, hearing from old-timer revolver guys, I will also hear those guys talk about specifically going through and like scrubbing the forcing cone. Now on this gun, I can see that there's not really any buildup, because if you keep ahead of this and you just keep hitting it with the bore brush and you clean it every single time that you go to the range, then generally I've not seen a whole lot of buildup happen. But on the times where I've forgotten to clean this, and yes, I have run these guns several times to the point where the trigger binds up and I can't press the trigger anymore. Well, then you have to do a pretty thorough cleaning. This was pretty dirty. I could tell that, you know, we probably got close to 1,000 rounds through this gun over, you know, 2 range sessions maybe, where it hadn't been cleaned. But yeah, I wanted to get a gun a little bit dirty for you guys so you could see what I'm working with. There it is. It is, this is my clean, but I know you guys will go way more try hard than this. This is clean enough to use again though. So, yep. Remember, like, subscribe, click the notification button, go to demonstratedconcepts.com, check out the website, check out the class offerings for imperceptible pistol while you're there. We've got the 23 schedule slowly starting to be posted there. We've got a location in Texas, a location in Utah that will be teaching that class at this upcoming year, and we're for sure going to have a local Bennett class, a Colorado class. So take a look at that. If you love running these guns, come out, learn how to deep carry these guns, learn a few cool tricks that you can do around defensive use and carry of these little guys. Not just revolvers, but all of the deeper carry, smaller, micro-sized guns. All right, so that's really it, guys. There's not a whole lot to it. I will also occasionally take not a steel brush, but just like a piece of paper towel or a cotton swab and clean off the laser lens, but we're not getting any crazy scattering right now. And you immediately know when there's a piece of lint that's worked its way in there because it starbursts or it just doesn't seem very bright. So I'll clean that, and then usually I might flip some batteries in the laser. This one was replaced last month though, so we are good to go there. That is how easy these are. I'm not gonna oil it, I'm not gonna do anything else. We're donezo. Guys, thank you for watching. As always, keep training, stay safe.